Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. Welcome to Practical Trouble, where we give you the tools to make the world a better place, one concrete action at a time.
I'm Frank, and I play the Fireball Happy Drow Wizard.
And I'm Lindsay. I'm the Bugbear Sorcerer Monk.
So Lindsay, we just described the roles that we play as part of a larger group when we're playing Dungeons & Dragons, and that makes a pretty good segue into this week's topic.
How to manage pyromaniac wizards with poor impulse control?
No. This week's topic is about how to find, evaluate, and join a group that's working on the issues that are near and dear to your heart. So first off, why do we need to find a group? Why do we need to band together?
We need to band together because there's power in numbers, and successful civil resistance relies on organizing and deploying large groups of people effectively. In fact, Erica Chenowitz has shown that when you get enough people involved, civil resistance can be enough to overcome even the most violent dictatorship.
Unless you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, you probably don't command the resources to force a large company or a government to change its ways, so the rest of us need to work together. After all, we wouldn't send a single player to kill the dragon, we need the entire team. And just like D&D, groups are not only more effective, they're a lot more enjoyable.
Jesus, we are nerds.
It makes us lovable.
Hopefully. Let's face it, trying to make the world a better place can be a daunting, lonely, and demoralizing job. But when you get to work with other people, it's a lot more fun. So Frank, let's say I want to join a group. How do I even begin?
Finding the right group can change your life and help you make a real difference in the world. So it's important that we do it well. So we break it into 4 steps. Know what you're looking for, search for groups that fit, evaluate the best contenders, and then figure out how to join and do it.
That seems like a lot.
In some ways it is, but you could potentially spend a lot of time working with whatever group you choose, and you don't want that time to be wasted.
So how does one even start that? If I know some folks in my community that are involved in activism, that's a great place to start, sure. But right now I'm sitting in front of my computer with that blank search engine rectangle calling me. What do I type?
Well, first we just want to find organizations that are in the right ballpark. Then we'll dig deeper into each one before we commit.
Sounds like a plan.
So the first thing we're going to filter on is the issue or issues that you care about. Organizations generally focus on a single area, like fighting racism or defending reproductive rights or protecting election integrity. Again, you're potentially going to invest a lot of time and or money into this, so pick a topic that deeply matters to you.
The words you use can matter here. For example, we tend to use the term unhoused rather than homeless these days because the negative connotations associated with the latter. I just tried a couple of searches, one looking for groups that focus on homeless, the other for unhoused. There was some overlap in the results, but there are also some pretty significant differences. You may find that a few minutes reading up on the topic on Wikipedia helps you sharpen your research.
Also, some organizations are virtual and don't care where you live, and others are very much in-person organizations where geography matters. COVID challenges aside, we do encourage people to work with in-person groups where possible because relationships and friendships will matter, and they're just a little easier to build in person.
Okay, so I type in my issue and maybe the name of the town where I live and quick search. A whole bunch of results come up. For most big mainstream issues, a lot of results. How do I start narrowing that down?
Okay, so some of the results are going to be articles on the issue rather than organizations, so you can skip those, although they may mention some groups that are involved. From the search results summary page, you should be able to get a quick sense of which organizations are local and working on the issues that you care about. From there, you'll need to click through to look at the organization's site.
I'm going to need to do more research on these groups to see if there's a good fit between my beliefs and the organization's approach. For instance, I think a way to help address school shootings is stronger gun control and fewer guns in the world, whereas the NRA thinks the solution is more guns and arming school teachers. That would definitely be a poor fit. So I need to take some time and go through all of these organizations, examine their positions around issues, and see if they align with mine.
Along with their positions, you're going to want to look at how they work on the issues. Do they mainly collect money and hire lobbyists and contribute to political candidates? Do they run phone banks and write letters to editors? Do they organize marches and protests? Or do they engage in more direct resistance like sit-ins, boycotts, or strikes?
Yeah, I want to find a group that participates in actions that I believe in and with which I can help. Working with a group I feel like is wasting my time on ineffective actions would be really frustrating. And I want to make sure that my strengths and interests can help move their activities forward and not waste their time.
Right.
Actually, about that, I run into organizations that talk a big game but don't really seem to do anything. I'll want to weed those out.
There are a surprising number of organizations that are really just personal vanity projects or can't seem to organize themselves enough to accomplish anything. Look at the organization's website and see if they talk about things that they've done, and then search some more and see if they make the news or get talked about on Twitter. Some organizations are great at getting attention, while others may prefer to do the quiet but effective work. But you want to make sure they're getting things done and they're not all talk and no action.
I've used sites like Charity Navigator to check out charities before to see how they're going to spend their money. Any group that's registered as a nonprofit in the US and has more than $50,000 in revenue has to file a tax form called a 990, and those forms are publicly available via the web. It'll show things like how much money they brought in and how they spent it, how much of it went towards the cause they support, and how much of it went to executive compensation or outside vendors.
One of the unfortunate realities that we face is that some organizations are really little more than scams, raising money from people who genuinely care about an issue, but then enriching the founders by paying them outrageous salaries or diverting money to a few vendors who are part of the scam. Some organizations are not scams, but they've become bloated with overhead or they spend their money on things that just don't do much to make the world a better place. Do a little digging and see what other people think about the organization, and be suspicious of a group that seems to be nothing more than a cash funnel.
Smaller, more local organizations may not have much of a track record yet, but they may also be some of the best groups for me to join.
In that case, you may have to go entirely on their website and your first few interactions with them before you can make up your mind.
Wow, that's a lot of information just to find an organization that might be a good fit. But let's say I've made it all the way to this point. Now what?
Now it's time to try and join. Most organizations will have a how you can help link on their site. And if they give you a specific way to volunteer, great. Try that and see what happens.
Some organizations don't make it that easy, or you fill out the volunteer form and nobody ever responds.
If you can't even get that initial response, you may have to track down individual names and see if you can contact them via email, LinkedIn, or some other channel. Some organizations are inactive and some are just super disorganized. Make a reasonable effort to get involved, but if you can't seem to get a response, then consider dropping that group and moving on to the next one. Your time and energy is valuable too, so spend it wisely.
In the past, I found that some organizations, you walk in and they immediately try to put you to work phone banking or canvassing. I know those are really important. If I thought it was a waste of their time, I'd have ruled them out altogether. But I personally hate phone banking, and honestly, I'm not very good at it. I picked this organization because I know there are things that they are doing that I will enjoy and be much more effective at.
In all organizations, but especially volunteer-driven organizations, doing the work is the fastest, best way to build up some credibility and get to know the people in the organization. After all, they don't know you or what you can do yet. They need to make sure you're a good fit for them as well as the other way around.
Okay, fine. So I've done all of this. I found a group, I started working with them, but it just doesn't seem to be working out. They never have anything for me to do, or everything that I do is mindless drudge work, or maybe nobody listens to anything that I have to say, or maybe the group is actually abusive or unethical.
All organizations have a culture, and activism-driven organizations are no exception. In fact, they can have more than their fair share of strong personalities with strong opinions. It's important to learn and listen at first, but if you put in some effort and nobody's listening to you, then maybe it's time to move on. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others.
If it's time to go, then it's time to go. Like everything, be polite and professional, because generally speaking, we're all on the same side, and you never know when you're going to run into the same people again. At the same time, that doesn't mean you should stay silent if you see someone doing something illegal, unethical, or dishonest.
Despite the possible bumps and hurdles, there are few things as satisfying and rewarding as working with a group of people you like and respect on causes that matter. When you find the group and lend them your time and talents, you're truly making the world a better place, and you're almost certainly making your own life better too.
So that's our concrete action for this episode. Find an organization that is taking action in an area you care about, and do whatever you need to do to join them. Do we have a useless action?
This time, our useless action is inaction itself, either in not joining any organizations at all, or joining them, but then being a passive player who doesn't do anything. Some folks join every organization in sight and then do nothing. Don't be like that. Stay focused.
We also have a database specifically aimed at helping individuals find relevant organizations, making it easier for you to find them based on things like causes and tactics. It's still small, but our community adds to it every day, and our goal is to make it the best resources for activists like you looking for like-minded groups. As usual, the link is in the comments. Add in any information as you find it.
So that brings us to the end of another episode of Practical Trouble. Thanks for listening, and let us know what you think in the comments. Help us spread the word. Like, subscribe, share, tweet, send a telegram, whatever works for you.